First contact and defiance. The quantum array at Luna Base picked up the signal on a quiet Thursday morning. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her holographic display, coffee forgotten in her hand as she processed what she was seeing. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, they had finally found something, but not what anyone had expected. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the analysis again. The signal wasn't coming from deep space. It was originating from just beyond Neptune's orbit, and it was approaching fast. Within hours, the entire Solar Defense Council was gathered in the underground chamber beneath Geneva. Military leaders, scientists, and political representatives from Earth's United Nations watched as Admiral James Rodriguez presented the data. "The object is approximately 15 kilometers in length," he stated, gesturing to the holographic projection. "It's moving at roughly 0.1 c and will reach Earth orbit in approximately 72 hours. Based on its trajectory and velocity changes, we can confirm it's under intelligent control." The chamber erupted in worried murmurs until Council President Amara Okafor raised her hand for silence. "What are our options?" Before anyone could respond, every screen in the chamber flickered to life. A face appeared, humanoid but clearly alien, with iridescent scales instead of skin, and 4 pupilless eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "People of Earth," the being spoke in perfect English, "I am High Commander Zextal of the Veloxian Empire. Your world now falls within our sphere of influence. Submit to imperial authority, and you will be granted protectorate status. Resist, and you will be subjugated. You have 24 hours to respond." The transmission cut off, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Then Admiral Rodriguez smiled, a grim, knowing expression that caught President Okafor's attention. "Admiral, you seem less concerned than I would expect." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Madam President, remember Project Aegis? I believe it's time we showed our visitors why humanity hasn't needed to announce its presence to the galaxy." President Okafor's eyes widened in recognition. "You mean it's operational? Has been for the past decade. We've been waiting for the right moment to test it. I'd say that moment has arrived." The next 24 hours saw the greatest mobilization in human history, not of weapons or ships, but of something far more impressive. Across the globe, hidden facilities powered up as humanity prepared to reveal just how far they'd advanced while waiting for this very moment. When the Veloxian Empire's deadline arrived, Earth's response was short and clear. "We decline your generous offer. We suggest you reconsider your position." High Commander Zextal's laughter echoed through the transmission. "Brave words from a primitive species. Perhaps a demonstration of our power will change your mind." The massive Veloxian vessel launched what appeared to be a small probe toward Earth. According to their sensors, it contained enough antimatter to vaporize a continent. As it approached Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Rodriguez gave a simple command: "Activate Aegis." For a brief moment, the space around Earth shimmered like heat waves rising from hot asphalt. The Veloxian probe simply disappeared. There was no explosion, no drama. It simply ceased to exist. High Commander Zextal's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Impossible. Your species hasn't even achieved basic interstellar travel. You cannot possess such technology." President Okafor stepped forward to address the transmission. "Commander, humanity made a choice long ago. While we could have reached for the stars, we chose instead to perfect our understanding of the fundamental forces of the universe. What you just witnessed was a localized quantum field that removed your probe from our timeline entirely. We have been waiting, watching, and preparing for this moment for over a century." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "Now shall we discuss terms as equals, or would you prefer another demonstration?" The first part of this tale of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage was about to unfold, and it would reshape the understanding of not just the Veloxian Empire, but of all spacefaring civilizations. Humanity had kept its true capabilities hidden not out of fear, but out of prudence, waiting for the right moment to show the galaxy that Earth would never bow to any empire. no matter how vast. The edge of war. High Commander Zextal paced the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, his clawed feet clicking against the polished obsidian floor. The quantum field technology displayed by the humans had shaken him more than he cared to admit. In 15 centuries of imperial expansion, no species had ever demonstrated such capabilities without first achieving widespread interstellar travel. "Status report on the fleet's arrival," he demanded. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Yixra, consulted her neural interface. "The main battle group will arrive in 36 hours. 5,000 ships, including the planet breakers." Zextal's scales rippled with anticipation. Even if the humans possessed advanced defensive capabilities, surely they couldn't stand against the combined might of the Empire's greatest assault fleet. Yet something about their calm confidence troubled him. Back on Earth, Admiral Rodriguez stood in the Orbital Defense Command Center, watching as thousands of tiny dots appeared on the tactical display. Each represented a Veloxian warship emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. "They're really doing it," Dr. Chen remarked, standing beside him. "They're actually going to attack." Rodriguez nodded. "Did you expect anything else? Empires don't become empires by backing down." He turned to face the assembled command staff. "Initialize Project Helios. All stations. Prepare for Phase 2. Across the solar system, hidden installations buried in asteroids and moons hummed to life. Quantum computers that had been running simulations for decades shifted to combat protocols. The trap that humanity had spent a century preparing was about to be sprung. The Veloxian fleet advanced in perfect formation, their ships arranged in the traditional Imperial spear pattern, designed to concentrate firepower while maintaining defensive integrity. As they passed Saturn's orbit, their long-range sensors detected no significant space-based defenses, no battle fleet rising to meet them. "They mean to rely solely on their quantum field technology," Sub-Commander Yixra observed. "Arrogant." High Commander Zextal wasn't so sure. Launch probe vessels. Full spectrum analysis of the entire inner system. The probe ships streaked ahead of the main fleet, their sensors probing every wavelength of electromagnetic radiation, every quantum fluctuation. They passed Jupiter's orbit without incident. Then every probe simultaneously went dark. "Report," Zextal demanded. "Unknown, High Commander. No energy signatures detected, no weapons fire." They simply stopped transmitting. Before Zextal could respond, space itself seemed to warp around the fleet. Thousands of points of light winked into existence, quantum gates opening in a perfect sphere around the Veloxian Armada. Through each gate emerged what appeared to be a small platform, no larger than a shuttle. But the energy readings from these platforms caused every sensor operator in the fleet to cry out in alarm. Admiral Rodriguez's voice echoed through every communication system in the Veloxian fleet. "You are now within range of our Helios array. Each platform you see is capable of generating a quantum singularity with the energy output of a small star. We have spent a century perfecting the ability to harness and control such power. This is your only warning. Withdraw your fleet, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly why humanity chose to perfect our understanding of physics before reaching for the stars." On the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, High Commander Zextal received a priority transmission from the Imperial capital. The contents made his scales pale to a ghostly white. Long-range sensors had detected similar quantum platforms appearing around every major Imperial world. Humanity hadn't just prepared to defend Earth. They had mapped the entire empire and prepared countermeasures at every strategic location. "How?" Zextal whispered. "How did we not see this coming?" The answer came from Dr. Chen, who had joined the communication channel. "Because you were looking for the wrong things. You expected warships, weapons platforms, the traditional trappings of a spacefaring civilization. Instead, we built something far more subtle, a network of quantum observation posts, hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the galaxy. We've been watching, learning, and preparing since before you knew we existed." The next few hours would determine whether the galaxy would witness the start of an interstellar war or the beginning of a new era of cooperation. For the first time in its history, the Veloxian Empire faced not just military defeat, but the complete negation of its ability to wage war. And humanity waited, their quantum platforms humming with enough power to reshape solar systems, hoping that wisdom would prevail over pride. Battle for Sol. Pride, as it turned out, was a universal constant. Despite the overwhelming evidence of humanity's superior position, a faction within the Veloxian fleet refused to accept the reality of their situation. Led by Battle Master Krenvac, commander of the dreadnought Eternal Glory, a contingent of 200 ships broke formation and accelerated toward Earth. For the Empire, Krenvac's battle cry echoed across all frequencies. Show these upstart primitives the true might of Veloxian steel. High Commander Zextal watched in horror as the breakaway fleet charged forward. Stand down, Battlemaster. That's a direct order. But it was too late. The Rove fleet had already crossed the invisible line that humanity had drawn in space. What happened next would be remembered for generations to come. Admiral Rodriguez sighed heavily as he gave the order. Initiate containment protocol. Minimal force. The quantum platforms surrounding the charging Veloxian ships pulsed with soft blue light. Space itself seemed to fold inward, creating a bubble of distorted reality around the rebel fleet. Inside that bubble, time began to flow differently. From the perspective of the main Veloxian fleet, Krenvac's ships appeared to slow down until they froze in place, caught like insects in amber. But for those inside the bubble, mere seconds passed as their ships were systematically and precisely disabled by invisible forces. Dr. Chen's voice carried across all channels, calm and professional. What you're witnessing is a localized temporal displacement field. Inside that bubble, we have all the time we need to neutralize your weapons and propulsion systems without causing any loss of life. Your crews will experience only a moment of disorientation. The bubble dissolved, revealing 200 perfectly intact but completely powerless Veloxian warships. Every weapon system, every engine core, every piece of military hardware had been precisely removed from the vessels, leaving only life support and basic functions operational. High Commander Zextal's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed what he had just witnessed. You could have destroyed them. We could have, President Okafor replied, joining the channel. But humanity long ago decided that technological superiority brings with it moral responsibility. We chose to disable rather than destroy, to demonstrate rather than devastate. In the silence that followed, a new signal cut across all frequencies. The Imperial Senate, having received full reports of the situation, had reached a decision. The Veloxian Empire would stand down its forces and enter into diplomatic negotiations with Earth. But even as the main fleet began its withdrawal, humanity revealed one final surprise. Dr. Chen activated a quantum viewing portal, allowing the Veloxians to see what their sensors had been unable to detect. A vast network of artificial structures, cloaked in dimensional pockets throughout the solar system. Research stations, manufacturing facilities, and energy collection arrays that dwarfed anything the Empire had built. We weren't hiding out of fear, she explained. We were building, learning, preparing not just for conflict, but for cooperation. Everything you see here can be used to benefit both our civilizations, if you're willing to approach us as equals rather than subjects. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward, addressing High Commander Zextal directly. Your empire expanded through conquest because that was the only path to advancement you knew. We're offering you a different path. The question is, are you ready to take it? The High Commander stared at the quantum viewing portal, watching as more and more of humanity's hidden achievements became visible. A civilization that had mastered forces his people had barely begun to understand. A species that had chosen to perfect itself before reaching for the stars. His response would shape the future of both civilizations. The turning point. The Geneva Peace Conference marked the first official meeting between human and Veloxian leadership on Earth's soil. The Grand Hall of the United Nations had been specially modified, to accommodate the physiological needs of the Veloxian delegation, its environment carefully regulated to match their homeworld's atmospheric composition. High Commander Zextal, now serving as the Empire's chief diplomatic representative, found himself seated across from President Okafor and Admiral Rodriguez. Dr. Chen stood at a holographic display, preparing to reveal the full scope of human technological achievement. "Before we begin formal negotiations," Dr. Chen said, activating the display, "we believe it's important for you to understand why we chose our path of development." The hologram showed Earth's history, centuries of warfare, environmental crisis, and near-extinction events. But then it shifted to show humanity's great turning point, the discovery of quantum consciousness in 2047. "We realized that consciousness itself was intertwined with quantum mechanics," Dr. Chen explained. "This discovery led us to understand that the universe was far more complex and far more wonderful than we had imagined. We could have used this knowledge to build weapons to conquer. Instead, we chose to understand." The Veloxian delegation watched in stunned silence as she demonstrated how humans had learned to manipulate the quantum fabric of reality itself, not through brute force or massive energy expenditure, but through precise, elegant interactions with the fundamental forces of the universe. "Your empire built ships to cross space," Admiral Rodriguez added. "We learned to fold space itself. You developed weapons to destroy planets. We learned to shift matter between quantum states, making destruction unnecessary." High Commander Zextal leaned forward, his scales shimmering with intense interest. "But why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue your development in secret?" President Okafor smiled. "Because we've reached a crossroads. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers and students both. We have much to share, but we also have much to learn." She gestured to a second hologram, showing the various species that made up the Veloxian Empire. "Your people have achieved remarkable things. Your understanding of biological engineering, your cultural achievements, your methods of faster-than-light travel, different from ours, but no less impressive. We're proposing an exchange." The next few hours were filled with detailed discussions of technology sharing, cultural exchange programs, and the establishment of joint research initiatives. But the most significant moment came when High Commander Zextal requested a private meeting with the human leadership. In a smaller chamber, away from the formal proceedings, Zextal revealed something that shocked even humanity's leaders. "The Empire is dying," he said quietly. "Not militarily or economically, but culturally. We've become stagnant, trapped in cycles of conquest and consolidation. Your civilization." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "You've shown us a different way forward." Admiral Rodriguez understood immediately. "You want our help to transform the Empire." "Not transform," Zextal corrected. "Evolve. My people were explorers once, seekers of knowledge. Somewhere along the way, we lost that part of ourselves. Perhaps it's time we found it again." It was at that moment that both civilizations realized they stood on the brink of something unprecedented, not just a peace treaty or a technological exchange, but the beginning of a true partnership that could reshape the galaxy itself. New Dawn. 5 years after the Geneva Peace Conference, the Sol Velox Combined Sciences facility orbited serenely around Jupiter's moon Europa. The massive structure, a perfect blend of human quantum architecture and Veloxian bioengineering, served as a symbol of what two civilizations could achieve together. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the facility's quantum observation deck, watching as a Veloxian research vessel emerged from a human-designed quantum gate. Beside her, High Commander Zextal's daughter, Kara, adjusted readings on a bioneural interface panel. "The test results are promising," Kara said, her scales gleaming with excitement. "The hybrid drive system exceeded all expectations. We've managed to combine your quantum folding technology with our mass acceleration principles. Your father would be proud," Sarah replied, thinking of Zextal, who now served as the Empire's Chancellor of Scientific Advancement. He took quite a risk, supporting such radical changes to Veloxian society. The changes had indeed been dramatic. The Empire still existed, but it had transformed from a conquering force into a confederation of worlds united by the pursuit of knowledge. The former Imperial fleet now carried scientists and explorers to the edges of known space, equipped with technology that neither humans nor Veloxians could have developed alone. Admiral Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Confederation, entered the observation deck. "We're receiving interesting signals from the Andromeda Galaxy," he announced. The Quantum Observation Network detected signs of artificial structures around several stars. "Another civilization?" Kara asked, her 4 eyes widening with interest. "Possibly. But what's more interesting is their level of technological development." He brought up a holographic display showing energy signatures that made both scientists lean forward in surprise. "They're on the verge of discovering quantum consciousness," Sarah observed, "just like we were centuries ago." "The question is," Rodriguez said, "do we make contact or wait for them to find their own path?" The question hung in the air, representing the philosophical debate that had occupied both species since their partnership began. The human approach of patient observation versus the Veloxian instinct for direct action. Kara was the first to speak. "Perhaps we could do both. Watch and wait, but also leave them signs. Breadcrumbs leading to greater understanding, just as you did with us." Sarah smiled, remembering how humanity had deliberately leaked small hints of their quantum technology, knowing the Veloxians would eventually detect Earth. It hadn't been an accident. It had been an invitation. "We've learned from each other," Rodriguez agreed. "Human patience and Veloxian initiative. Together, we can guide without interfering, protect without controlling." As if to emphasize his point, a massive quantum gate opened near Jupiter, large enough for a small moon to pass through. The gate was part of the new network that connected human and Veloxian worlds, a physical manifestation of the bridges built between their civilizations. "The galaxy is changing," Sarah said, watching as ships from a dozen different species passed through the gate. Former subjects of the Empire, now equal members of the Confederation, each bringing their own unique perspectives and technologies to the great exchange of knowledge. "The galaxy isn't changing," Kara corrected gently. "We are changing the galaxy." They stood together, human and Veloxian, watching as another research vessel disappeared into the quantum gate, bound for the unknown. In the end, humanity's greatest achievement hadn't been their mastery of quantum physics or their ability to reshape reality itself. It had been their ability to show another civilization that there was always another way, always another path forward. And somewhere, in a distant galaxy, another species was about to look up at their night sky and see the first subtle signs that they weren't alone, not just in space, but in their quest for understanding. The dawn of a new age hadn't come through conquest or submission, but through the simple, powerful act of 2 civilizations choosing to reach for the stars together. The end.